was heading home late after a night out with some friends, and since I had a few drinks, I decided to call an Uber instead of driving. It was past 1 a.m. and the streets were quiet. My ride pulled up, a black sedan, older with slightly tinted windows. Right away, something felt off. The driver's profile picture on the app looked younger than the man sitting behind the wheel. His face was gaunt, with dark bags under his eyes, and his hair looked greasy, like it hadn't been washed in days. I hesitated for a second before getting in, but exhaustion won over paranoia. As I slid into the back seat, I noticed the car smelled damp, like old clothes left in the rain. The seats were worn, and there was a dark stain on the floor by my feet. I buckled my seatbelt and glanced at the app to double-check the route. Everything seemed normal. For the first few minutes, the ride was silent. The driver barely spoke, which I didn't mind. I wasn't in the mood for small talk. But as we passed through a dimly lit part of town, I noticed him looking at me through the rearview mirror. Not just glancing, staring. His eyes didn't seem curious or friendly. They looked calculating. I shifted uncomfortably, gripping my phone a little tighter. I told myself I was overthinking it, but then I noticed something strange. He missed the turn that would take us to the highway. I leaned forward slightly and said, "Hey, I think you missed the turn." No response. I repeated myself a little louder this time. He finally spoke, but his voice was slow and monotone. He said there was construction on the highway, so he was taking a shortcut. I looked out the window. We were driving into a part of town I didn't recognize. No houses, no stores, just empty streets lined with warehouses and abandoned lots. My chest tightened. I checked the Uber app, but my route was no longer showing. The app had either glitched or he had somehow disconnected it. My heart started racing. I texted my friend my location and told her to stay on the phone with me. I put the call on speaker so he'd hear. "Hey, I'm almost home," I said loudly. "Yeah, I'll see you in a few minutes." The driver chuckled under his breath. It was quiet, but enough to send a chill down my spine. I watched the road ahead. There was an intersection coming up, and I knew if he turned left, we'd be heading deeper into a remote area. My stomach dropped when the blinker clicked to the left. I felt trapped. If I didn't get out now, I might not get another chance. "Hey, I think I'm just gonna get out here," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You can stop." He didn't stop. My fingers curled around the door handle. The car was slowing slightly for the turn, but not enough to stop. "Stop the car," I said louder. Still nothing. I made a split-second decision. As soon as he took the turn, I yanked on the door handle, kicked it open, and threw myself out onto the pavement. My shoulder hit hard, pain exploding through my arm, but I didn't stop. I scrambled to my feet and ran. Behind me, I heard the car screech to a halt. The driver didn't get out. Instead, he just sat there, engine idling. I ran toward the nearest lit street, my breath ragged, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst. I made it to a gas station and rushed inside, telling the clerk to call the cops. When they arrived, I showed them the Uber details. But here's the thing. The license plate didn't match any registered Uber driver. The account had been fake. And the scariest part? The police told me I wasn't the first person to report a similar incident in the past month. They had no leads on who the man was, and he was still out there. I booked an Uber after a long night out with my friends. It was past 2 in the morning and the streets were quiet. I wasn't drunk, but I was definitely feeling the drinks. The second the car pulled up, I got in the back seat, relieved I didn't have to wait long. The driver was a man in his late 30s with a scruffy beard and tired eyes. As I buckled my seatbelt, he turned around, smiling a little too wide. He said I looked like I had fun. I gave a small, polite laugh and nodded, just wanting to get home. He pulled away from the curb and at first, everything seemed normal. He asked if I went out often. I told him not really. He asked if I lived alone. My stomach twisted a little, but I lied and said I lived with my boyfriend. He hummed, his fingers tapping on the steering wheel. He said I was too pretty to be taking Ubers alone at night. I just forced another laugh, pretending I didn't hear him. I looked at my phone, pretending to text someone, hoping he'd get the hint and stop talking. The drive continued in silence for a few minutes, but something about the way he kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror made my skin crawl. Then, he said he was hungry and asked if I wanted to stop somewhere and grab food with him, said it would be on him. I shook my head quickly, telling him I just wanted to go home. His smile faltered for a second before he let out a chuckle. He said I was acting like he was some kind of creep, that he was just trying to be nice. I forced a smile and told him I was just tired. My fingers hovered over my phone screen, debating if I should text someone to stay on the phone with me. A few more minutes passed, and I started feeling a little uneasy about where we were. The roads looked unfamiliar. I opened the Uber app and saw he had taken a different route than the one listed. My chest tightened. I asked him why we weren't going the usual way. He said the route Uber gave was longer and that he knew a shortcut. I looked at the app again. The estimated time of arrival had increased. I told him I'd rather he follow the route on the app, but he didn't respond. Instead, he asked if I had a boyfriend. I reminded him that I did, and he laughed under his breath, like he didn't believe me. Then he asked if my boyfriend would get mad if I let him come inside for a drink. He said he could cancel the ride and take me home for free if I invited him up. My stomach dropped. I told him no, firmly this time. He sighed and muttered something under his breath. His grip on the steering wheel tightened. I stared at my phone, trying to think of what to do. I clicked the share ride button and sent my location to my friend. Then I pulled up the emergency button on the app, my thumb hovering over it. Then, suddenly, he pulled into a dark, empty parking lot. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear myself think. He put the car in park and turned to face me. He said he just needed to check something in the back. I didn't respond. I was too busy trying to yank the door handle, but it wouldn't open. Child locks. I tried to keep my face neutral, not wanting to set him off. He stepped out of the car and walked around the back. I went into panic mode. My hands were shaking as I scrambled to unlock my phone and call someone. Just as I pressed my friend's number, a pair of headlights flashed across the lot. Another car had pulled in, stopping a few feet away. The driver outside my door hesitated. He stood frozen for a second before quickly getting back in and speeding off without saying a word. I sat there, still shaking, as I watched his taillights disappear. The other car parked a few spots away, and a man stepped out, looking confused. He asked if I was okay. I nodded quickly and got out of the car. I immediately called the police and reported everything. When I tried to check my Uber app for his profile, it was gone. The trip had disappeared from my history. I contacted Uber support, and they said they'd look into it. The next morning, they got back to me with an update. The driver had deactivated his account,